book lovers. In this video we're going to read together The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab, and I'm actually going to read this for my little book club that I have with my girls, and this one was my pick. But I haven't read this before, but I heard so many good things about this, and this is also a bit different in terms of genre, not just for me but also for my girlfriends, and I thought this would be a great book for all of us to read and then discuss afterwards. I'm gonna read this in this video, so you're gonna have like a little reading block first, and then we have our little book club meeting. Since we're all German and we're gonna do it in German, I'm not gonna film much about what we said, but I'll do a little afterwards summary what the thoughts were, because I have a feeling that we're not all gonna like this book the same way, since we don't all have the same exact taste in books. So this book is about a girl, Addie Larue, if you could tell by the title, that was born in the 1800s, and she makes a deal to gain her freedom, but because of that deal, she is able to live forever, but no one ever remembers her. She goes on to live through all these centuries, and you see her story unfold, and then in the present time, she actually meets someone who does remember her. And I want to say as little as possible about this book, because I feel like this is such a beautiful story. And if you know these little synopses, then just go in, and I'm sure maybe already a lot of people read this, because this was very popular a few years ago and I'm quite late to read this book. If you want to see more of my thoughts, then just keep on watching. So I started The Invisible Life of Addie Larue. I'm actually at the second part now, which is like a bit more than 90 pages in, and I've got a feeling that this will become one of my favorite books. Obviously I have lots to go through, so I'm not 100% sure, but there's just something. Sometimes when you start a book and the first few pages already just captivate you and just give you a feeling that this is different, that this is something special. And I feel like it's due to the writing. I really love the writing and just how the story is told. And so far in, I mean, I kind of know what the story is about, but I can't even really tell you what genre I would put this in. I mean, obviously this has like a fantasy element, and it kind of feels like general fiction right now, but I'm hoping obviously that there's a romance, and there's a story in my head that I would love to be the one that is gonna unfold here, but I don't know if it's the one. I feel like I will be also happy if it's not the one, but so far it's set up in a way where I'm just so intrigued by a specific, let's say, person in here, and I just want the story to go there. But I feel like I'll be happy anyway. As I said, I'm absolutely loving my time here. This feels like every page is somehow important. You know, when there are like details in here and you think like, oh, they're gonna be important later on. Like nothing in here makes me feel like, oh, this is just a page filler, like this is just to have more words on page, which also it's not a bad thing. But in here I feel like every page or every new story we get, every new detail we get, like it's gonna lead to something, or it's important why we get told this specific thing. And I really love that about the book. Like it just makes it a bit more meaningful to read it. I don't know, maybe this is completely wrong. It's just how this book makes me feel. I don't think this is really like a spoiler because you have it on like the first pages, but before you start like the parts, like, you know, part 1 and now part 2, I don't know how many parts we have in here, but you get like a description of an art piece, and again, like you read it first, and I didn't think about it till it became important for the story, and I love stuff like that, and it just makes you more aware what you're reading, and you're like trying to figure out what it will mean later on. Just the beauty in it. Like I think this is a very beautifully written story, and I'm someone who loves pretty things and aesthetic. I also appreciate when a story is just beautiful. I don't know if that makes sense, but sometimes a story to me is just very beautiful, and I feel like this is one of them. So I feel like I did a good job with this book. I mean, I don't know how my other girlfriends will actually feel about it, but I hope that they will love it as well. So I'm actually quite far into The Invisible Life of Addie Larue now. I'm at page 340, and I think it's like the 5th part, so I have this much left to read. And I'm still enjoying this so much. I really love the story. I think it's just very beautiful how everything comes together and how she tells the whole story. The only thing that I wouldn't even say I complain about that, because I don't really know how this will end. I do believe that it won't end in the way where I thought the story would go or what I would want to see. But we'll see at the end if I'm okay with it or not. So there's definitely a character in here, and I don't really want to spoil anything, so I'm just gonna say the character that I would have loved to have more of and see more of the complex relationship that character has with Addie Larue. And I feel like we do get that in bits and pieces, but I thought that that would be the main thing, whereas it's not. Yeah, so that's basically it. And where maybe my little complaint is, because I would really have loved if we would have went even further into that. And I mean, I'm glad we're still getting bits and pieces of their relationship and how their relationship impacts the whole story, but yeah, I would want more of that. And I still like something that I also like about reading general fiction, or I don't know if you would consider this like just in terms of genre like a fantasy, but what I like when it's not a straightforward romance, that I just don't know where the story goes. I don't know how this book will end. And it kind of gives a suspense element that I really enjoy. And like, oh, I want to read further. I need to find out how the story unfolds. And I never really get that in a romance, because we all know how romances end. They all end in a happy end. And I love that, because I hate when a book doesn't have a happy end. So I really hope that this one still does. The Invisible Life of Addie Larue this morning, and this was a beautiful book, but I don't know how to explain that. I am first and foremost a romance reader, and in romance you have a particular ending, and that is the one that I love, that I want to see, that, you know, no matter what's in the book, I know what to expect from the ending, and that always satisfies me. So whenever I go out of my favorite genre and read something else where I don't have a guarantee of that particular ending, I don't know, I just find it hard to, I just don't like it. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Even though I think they are beautiful in itself and I see the beauty in them, they're just not what satisfies me. Like, I will always have this weird feeling lingering in me afterwards, and I don't know, it's just not the ending I wanted. Let's leave it at that. I think I would give the book maybe a 4.5 or 4.2.5, because I think overall I absolutely loved it, but there was a time like after the half past mark where I thought it was a little bit slow. As I said, this is my pick for our book club with my besties, and I do believe that this is a great book for a book club, because I already have so many ideas what to talk about, what to discuss. Like, there are so many elements, and especially also with the ending, I feel like you can definitely talk about stuff around it. Let's just leave it at that. And that's what I will do next, prepare basically the book club meeting. So we're about to have our book club meeting, and as I said, it's my time to host the book club basically. So we're gonna go into a cafe, and I prepared a little, I don't know what you would call this, but like questionnaire for us, or like guide to go along with our book club meeting. And I just prepared some notes about the author and some general questions, how they thought the book went for them. And then I wanted to talk a bit more about the characters and like the three main characters basically. And then I did a whole new sheet for the ending, because I really need to talk about the ending with the girls. So these are the three sheets basically, and I'm very excited. I think since school, I never really did like a proper in-depth discussion anymore with books. I mean, I don't want to say force, but I do give my friends books that I really love, and then always make them say like, oh, let's discuss it afterwards, and we do that, but never in like, you know, of a more proper frame like a book club. But yeah, let's go and start a book discussion. that we discussed this book in thorough, and I was right that we didn't all have the same opinion about the book. It was actually that one of my friends and me, we really loved this book. I mean, I said before that I would give it like a 4.5 star. And my other friend, she, I think, even gave it a 5-star review. But my other two girlfriends, they didn't like it as much. And they gave it like a 2.5 star. And I think what they said, it was also valid. It was also very much outside their comfort zone. And I think in general, if you want a book that you read with friends and to discuss stuff afterwards, this is still great. And I even loved that we had different feelings and opinions about this book, because it made the discussion that much more interesting. But since they argued why they didn't like it, for example, then I kind of wanted to defend it and thought, you know, maybe this was the author's intention actually to do it that way. And, you know, even though it's a book in the end of the day, and, you know, you either vibe with it or not, if it is the author's intention or not, you can still enjoy it the way you want it or not. So I think overall, it was still a success, even though not everyone loved it. And we're actually going to read a classic for our next book club meeting that my friend picked, and I'm very interested how that everyone will enjoy or not, or just have thoughts about. I think it is so much fun to have like a little book club with friends and to read something that you all can then talk about. I also hope you enjoyed coming along with me reading the book and then have the little book discussion with us. And I got some of the questions that I had for our book club meeting on certain websites. I'll just leave them down below in case you want to discuss this as well, or, you know, leave your opinion about the Invisible Life of Addie Larue in the comments. I'm very interested. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like and also subscribe for more bookish content in the future, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!